Grade A buffoonery.
I'm not perfect, I know it, but I don't deserve this. So put me back in my cage, I swear I'll be fine. Frustrations and ocean.
Breaker Crunchers, welcome to a very special episode of Couch Crunchers. I am Sam, the movie mechanic. Today I am joined by one of the hardest working men in Hollywood. He's got over 570 acting credits on his IMDb page with over 50 new roles in production. He's known far and wide as the King of Gypsies and Sal Maroni from The Dark Knight. Today we welcome Mr. Eric Roberts.
Thank you. What a nice intro. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining the show. And with you is your wife, Eliza. Is that right?
That's right.
My wife, my manager, Eliza Roberts.
Eliza, thank you for joining as well. At the outset, we've all been spending a lot of time locked down at home. Have you discovered any new talents or hobbies during the lockdown?
Patience is a big hobby these days.
Is that a hobby?
Yeah, it's a whole different thing when you can't go anywhere, you can't see anybody, and even though you're with your favorite person, I get trying.
Oh, yeah, for sure. My wife and we recently discovered a cheese making channel on YouTube, and we've become a little bit of curd nerds in the past few weeks. Yeah.
Wow, we're going to follow in your footsteps.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Starting out, I also wanted to talk about your career as an actor and touch on a role that maybe probably didn't spend a lot of time doing in your career, but maybe one of your most viewed roles to date, which is the villainous brothel manager in the Killer's Mr. Brightside video.
Right. Yeah. I'm glad you understand what he was, because when I asked, what's her name?
Sophie Mueller.
Sophie Mueller. When I asked Sophie, I said, "What am I?" And very quietly, I was told I was a pimp.
Yeah, you were the pimp.
Okay, here we go.
So what is it about eating apples that makes a guy look like such a bad guy?
Well, it's
original sin.
It's the first forbidden fruit. There we go. Yeah.
That's right. It's so biblical, right?
Yeah.
And there was a lot of like sneaking behind curtains and looking creepily behind the drapes. It seems like you've had a lot of experience as a villain in movies like The Expendables and The Dark Knight. What is it, in your opinion, that makes such a compelling and convincing villain?
Here's what it is. It's one thing. Bad guys never believe they're bad guys. So when you play a bad guy, you're playing a guy who has to do a bad thing because those are the circumstances. He's the victim. That's where bad guys always are. They're the victims. And so that's what I go after, to make them okay with themselves. Because if you're okay with yourself, you can make mistakes and be righteous about it and be fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of villains, in a recent interview, they asked you about the Joker, and you offered some mild criticism about the hopelessness or the dark tone of the movie. Here's a question for you. What's the secret to offering criticism in a way that still honors the production of a movie?
That is a great question, and it's a great person to ask because I never do it properly. So thank you. Here's what it is. That was an incredible movie. That was a work of art. It was incredible. It was borderline perfect. But here's the thing. It depressed me morbidly. I got unhappy. And I don't go to the movies to get unhappy. I go to the movies to be enlightened or like stimulated or excited or happy or whatever it is. But I don't go to be depressed. And that movie, he was perfect. And it killed me because we know he's real. We know that's there. That's out there. That's that's so much going on in our world today.
Oh,
is
yeah.
that story.
Result of abuse.
And yeah, the result of abuse. Dude, the result of abuse is so staggering. And this, so when I said I sounded negative about the movie, no, I was so moved that it scared me. And I was upset with it.
Yeah.
I was upset with it. And, but I was blown away by the technicalities and the performance and the look of the movie. It just takes your breath away. But I sounded like what I hate sounded like the most, which is an actor who thinks he's more than an actor.
Yeah. I think I felt the same way about the movie, which is because of the heavy tone, it can be really hard on a rewatch. To pop it back in the DVD player, put it back on stream, it can be really tough because it does take you down to some dark places. So I see where you're coming from.
I won't rewatch that movie for at least a year, but I will rewatch it.
Yeah. Here's another question, kind of along the same lines. How do you avoid being taken out of context?
You really can't. You just have to be quiet, and you have to be polite, and you have to smile a lot, because being taken out of context, being as someone who's been taken out of context many times, I understand now in my old age what not to do. And you only answer what you're asked for the reason you're asked it. You don't expound. You just dig holes for yourself. And I just learned through my wife, actually, who reparented me. I learned how to be a grown up and not offer an answer to everything.
The only thing is, even when you do that with all the safeguards, there's no avoiding it. I mean, we just did a quick interview with Us Weekly online.
Okay.
Which turned into at least a 3-parter. It may be going on forever. We don't know. We love the interviewer.
Yeah, we did.
And we had a really positive, upbeat talk. We then didn't know where to find it, and suddenly we started to get calls and stuff from my kids and everything. And the pull quotes, they're giant bold letters, and it'll be one sentence that is not the emphasis and that makes you feel like you're making false claims. And then you're just like, oh my God, that wasn't, there's what you say and there's what you mean. And if you can take the very same words and change the meaning, and that's what happens when you're taken out of context. It's unavoidable. It even happened in the Vanity Fair article, and that writer is a good friend of ours. So I think the best way to handle it, my opinion about the best way to handle it, is just expect it and try not to, contemplate suicide every time it happens.
Oh, I hope not. Oh man, you guys sound like you've had some experiences with lawyers. I'll tell you that.
Yes, we have. But we try to avoid that too, because that's just like a money pit. So don't do that either.
I'm the best lawyer in town, though, Jeffrey Frankel.
Oh, yeah. Very, very good to know. So let's talk now about a little bit of your acting career. So your career spanned over 40 years. You've had hundreds of roles in movies and TV. What have been some of your personal highlights during your career?
Well, my first biggie, King of the Gypsies. I was the only unknown, and it was Sterling Hayden, Shelley Winters, Susan Sarandon, Brooke Shields, and Judd Hirsch.
Annette
O'Toole, of course.
Right.
And Annie Potts. And I was the only one unknown. I was scared every day. Like a tough guy, but I was frightened to death every day. And had a wonderful, patient, kind, giving director, Frank Pearson, who also wrote it. And he took care of me like I was his child. And it was a great experience. So that's one, my first. Then what I consider to be one of my very best pieces of work, but it's kind of unknown. It's called Paul's Case. It's based on the short story by Willa Cather. And it's a very personal story for me because I so identified with him from being where I'm from and having to get out to a success. And so it's a very personal story for me, Paul's case. And then, of course, Star 80, Bob Fosse's last movie, The Pope of Greenwich Village, It's My Party, Runaway Train, and Purgatory with Sam Shepard. Those are my 4 or 5 favorites in my memory.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. So we as fans, we have favorite on-screen moments, things that maybe look different from your perspective. What are some of the moments behind the scenes that maybe we don't understand as far as the production goes of movies like Pope of Greenwich Village or The Dark Knight or even the Killer's music video for Mr. Brightside?
Okay. What's a good story I can tell you about an on-set? So it was in the 80s, we made Runaway Train, me and John Voight. And they send the cast and the crew to upper northwestern Montana. That's where we're going to shoot. And we arrive at a ski lodge and it thaws. All the snow, all the ice vanished in 3 days. And we're sitting there going, but this is supposed to be in the snow. It's supposed to be in the tundra in Alaska. Oh, no. So we're just sitting there, and a whole week passes, and they don't know what to do. So who is the producer? Menachem Golan says, I've been thinking. It takes place in Alaska. We shoot in Alaska. The whole cast and the crew up to Anchorage, and he bought 14 miles of track that we owned every day, and that was one of the spookiest things I've ever been involved in a production because we all started way behind the 8 ball, and it was all we had to work fast, and that was back in the days of like film when you had time to like do your homework and prepare and get ready and blah, blah, blah. And it was like how they shoot now then though, because we were so behind. We had to work fast. A lot of stunts, a lot of stuff, a lot of dangerous stuff. And the train was always going 40 miles an hour. So and we're always like tied off, but it was work and it was dicey and it was fun.
That's great.
I have one. Can I tell one?
Yeah, for sure.
So, there's so many when you mention it. First of all, shooting The Dark Knight, it was very top secret. So it had a pseudonym. It was called Rory's First Kiss. And the pages were red. So nobody could in those days there was fax. You couldn't fax them. You couldn't copy them. There was no way. And of course, shooting in Chicago, everybody knew who we were. All of our clients did Rory's First Kiss. And everybody's like, oh, The Dark Knight. It was a very badly kept secret. That was a fun one. Also, there was so much. It was such a sophisticated movie, and there was so much family there. Maggie Gyllenhaal's kid, who we've now spent time with, who's an amazing young woman, but just a baby then, was there, and it was like a daycare center at the hotel. Christian was there with his babies. Emma and Chris were there with their 5 kids. It was really like summer camp for 6-year-olds and under. And it was the total opposite vibe. And Eric was shooting Witless Protection with Larry the Cable Guy at the same time. Can you imagine flipping back and forth from those 2 characters?
It was fun.
And then on Mr. Brightside, I'll give you one on Mr. Brightside. So Eric was shooting Less Than Perfect. He was doing a series. And, that's a pretty grueling schedule. And then we get a call for him to come and do a music video. And at the time, it was kind of the beginning of major actors being in music videos. And, the pay in music videos ranges from $0 to like $100 to $20,000 or whatever. It's not, people probably imagine that people make a fortune doing them. They don't. It's a promotional tool for both the actor, but for the record label. So I get a call. It's the day of. I get a call saying, can Eric come do the Killers video? And I was like, yeah, because I know from my son is Keaton Simons. He's a recording artist,
Sure.
So he knew the Killer. He knew that song and everything. And so I have to gingerly say to Eric, when we leave work tonight, after you've worked 17 hours, we're going to go shoot something, right? So, and of course he's going to be like, really? How much are they paying me? So I just instead drive and park in front of the location, which just looked like nothing. It was just this building. And Eric's like, what are we doing here? This is not our home. And I'm like, well, we're going to do this video. I had to call Zach Levi, who's now become a big star. We knew he would, who was on Less Than Perfect, and have him come saying to Eric, Zach will do the role if you say no, because he knows what's up. So Eric had to get on the phone with the kids, which is Emma, Keaton, and Morgan.
And all the kids said, you got to do the video, Dad. You got to do it.
We're disowning you. I mean, otherwise there's no, and we had to, and I had so many friends on set. We had to go in. And of course, they're not linear music videos. It's not like a script that you have to get actor. So Sophie Mueller, who's a genius, even her explaining it to us, even Brandon from Killers explaining it to us. Eric was like, what? What am I? Just show me where to go, but put some clothes on me. Rumbling, what am I doing here? And then he got into it and he had fun.
I was a blast.
But it was great. You know, he did the sequel or the prequel, which was Miss Atomic Bomb.
Miss Atomic Bomb, 2012.
He was shooting in Detroit at the time. And we had to use our friend as a body double for Eric. And then we had Eric green screen from there and send the footage. It was totally nuts.
Yeah, that was cool.
Again, music videos. They call you on the day. They're like, hey, dude, would Eric do the prequel? I'm going to be shooting. And they're like, oh, this afternoon? I'm like, what? It's 3,000 miles away. It's just, but you make it happen.
That's fantastic.
For you.
That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing those. So here's a question for you. If you were able to, let's say you were able to travel back in time and visit young Eric right before his very first role, what advice would you offer?
Oh, that's easy. I would say act like the Eric that Eliza's going to develop as a person. Act like that now. What that is congenial, approachable, conversationing, talkable, all the stuff I wasn't. I never spoke to anybody. I just did my work. And my wife says to me one day, she goes, everybody thinks you're an a-hole. I said, oh. And she goes, yeah, you don't speak to anybody. You're like totally in the zone. She goes, and it comes across like you think a great deal of yourself. Now I happen to know you, so I know what's going on. I know you're focusing, and I know that's how you operate. You gotta change it. You gotta change it up because you act like an asshole. I'm like, really? And I was at first kind of, I'm an artiste. Who are you talking to? But of course she's right. You have to allow people to approach you. And I didn't, dude. I was like, I'm working,
Yeah. What about you, Eliza? What advice would you offer yourself?
Well, myself, first of all, by the way, one of the kids gave Eric a gift for his last birthday. It's a coaster that says, be the person your cat thinks you are. So basically that's consistent with what he just said.
Yeah.
What advice would I give myself? Because I was in Animal House and that was not my first role. I had been acting for a long time. But I think the advice that I would give myself is probably about confidence. Just saying, remember, they're not doing you a favor. You're not taking up their time being here. This isn't too good to be true. And allow yourself to be there. I mean, I always loved it, but allow yourself to be there. There's a lot of apologizing that goes on with actors. They want to be convenient. And that's something that a young actor needs to never do.
Good girl.
Thanks.
That's cool.
I love those answers. So with so many roles on your resume, Eric, is there still a role that you secretly want to play?
There is. I want to do one biography and one far out thing. The biography, I want to play Nureyev. And I want to do it in his later years because I'm in mine. And because I love the way he talked. I love how he was. He was so outrageous. And I want to play him. And I want to also play a role that's a complete dichotomy in the presentation. Like I'm an undercover cop who's in New York tough guy, only he has to go undercover as something as extreme as a drag queen. Something like, so it's believable. So it's outrageous. Oh my God, is this going to happen? But it's believable. It's my work. It's what I do. And that's what's left for me. I want to do that. And I also, we're in a very quiet, unspoken sexual revolution right now. It's not being talked about or heralded or feared like it was in the 1960s, but it's happening. And we had one in the 80s too, but it's happening again. And it's all about care and all about understanding what you're doing and why. And it's a formidable time in that way. Why am I saying? What brought me to that?
He was just asking you what dream roles.
Oh yeah. So that being said, the whole sexuality of it, I want to make it fine for everybody to be anything they have to be for any circumstance, because that's what you are. Whatever you are is what you are. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So in addition to being a famous actor, you're also a famous brother. From your perspective, what is the key to maintaining a strong and healthy relationship with your adult siblings?
Honesty and kindness. Just have to be sweet to each other, because, we know each other down to our bone marrow, because we have the same DNA. We know everything. We understand everything, before it's ever spoken. So you have to go out of your way to be available to your other DNA, to your other, to your family. You have to stay there for them, even when it's not pleasant. And because that's what family's for. And my wife is the kindest person I ever met. And these lessons I got through her, because she reparented me. I was a very non-speaking, very serious oddity.
Okay. All right. Eliza, what do you have to add? What would you add to that?
I think, people are very curious, obviously, about Eric and his siblings because they're well known and they just kind of want to know details. But all that they really have to do is look to themselves. We do share parents or one parent or whatever. In a lot of cases, we don't because it's adoption. But you were raised in a household that changes every 6 months, but has similarities. So you kind of expect that it's going to be copacetic and you're going to see everything the same way. Instead, it's really scientific, sociological proof that two people can see the exact same thing at the same time, completely differently. Perspective is something that's within us. And what I may find traumatic, he may find, and vice versa. So you do have to make a commitment. My sister and I are really different. We could so easily say terrible things to each other and not speak for years. But when you see siblings come together and reconcile, or after years say, wait, what are we not talking to each other about? They come together sometimes over grief, loss of a parent, or over joy, someone has a baby, or just because they do, or an event in the world, like this pandemic, for instance. It's so moving when they come together. Why not just skip the whole being apart thing? So with my sister, I just am supportive and nice. I think she does the same thing with me. We never try to think whether we'd be friends in real life. So I think it's a commitment, but it's a different commitment than a marriage, because you really should do it and don't ever stop. Obviously if there's abuse, even that you understand the source, but if there's abusiveness between you, you don't just accept it and eat it up. But I think it's just a decision. Let's show love all the time.
Sure. Love.
Fantastic. So your daughter, Eric, your daughter Emma is also a veteran actor. And my question is, as a father, how do you strike the balance between instilling a sense of gratitude for the life that you provide versus instilling or trying to give them ambition to create a life of their own or create their own destiny?
Well, the kids are the bosses. Whatever they want in their life, they're the boss of. And all you can be as a parent is totally supportive. If you're not doing your job. And so if she wants to be an actor, let's go be an actor.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Eliza, what are your thoughts?
I really agree. I really have a hard time with people going too far and trying to mold their kids, especially against what they are. And I certainly, in our industry, I find it very hypocritical when parents are like, no, you can't act until you're such and such an age. It's like, excuse me very much. You're the reason I want this or crave it or feel an affinity with it. I think that, just do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. If you needed the support and you need it still, give it to your kids. So I agree with what Eric said.
Oh, very good. So this next question comes from a Reddit post I recently saw. A young man asked, what are the advantages of being married versus being single? So I would ask you guys, how would you answer that question?
Well, it's an evolving question because it's, one way in your 20s, it's another way in your 30s, it's another way in your 40s, it's another way in your 50s. So it's always evolving. But the key to anything lasting is understanding. So complete honesty and lots of recreation together, if you catch my meaning.
Sure.
Listen, there's pluses to both. And now, luckily, it's not so stigmatized. I think marriage evolves from a time when you're mad about each other. You're kind of intoxicated with each other. You also subconsciously see each other as your work, the stuff you have to complete or what you might be repeating. And you can't say enough. I want to have your babies. I want you to have my children. Let's get married, and that changes.
Let's buy a car together.
Right. That feeling, let's get an animal together. That feeling changes, and then you're just married. And a lot of times at that point, you're kind of like, whoa, this is weighing me down. I mean, there's so many other things I could be doing. I think that you have to keep your own life. I think that you have to have the fun of, oh, great, I get to hug you anytime I want. But it can't be mutually exclusive from you also can go spend a day just driving around or whatever, and somebody's not going to give you a hard time about it. Yeah. So I think that that you have to be a little bit married and a little bit single pretty much all the time through a marriage.
And there is something really chemical about it working. Like I can still kiss her soft shit. It says like a big old soft lips. I give her a great big kiss and I still feel a tingle. And I'm an old guy. And it's like, yeah, I like it. So there's also something just, basically animal instinct about it. If it works, why fix it?
Oh, for sure. So here's a question for you. How big a part of how large a role does sex play in a marriage?
Sex is starts out as one thing, it becomes others, but it's always the same difference in that it's always the ultimate physical affection. And you always have it. And if you don't, you have to replace it with an understanding of something else, I think. I haven't come to that place yet, so I'm kind of bluffing here.
Okay.
But I know that in fact the other day, my wife yesterday we were in bed together and we got through and my wife says, people our age don't do this like we do this. I said, why not? She goes, they just don't. I talk to my girlfriends, blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And she tells me this story. And I'm like, wow, that's a shame because I can't conceive of not, chasing my wife.
Sure.
Yeah.
What about you, Eliza? Do you think it plays a big role?
Yeah, it plays a big role. We're all raised, no matter how you're raised, we're raised a little bit to feel guilty about putting any value on sex and sexuality, which is so funny, like as if we're supposed to be able to live without it. I think we feel the same way about food. I mean, there's a lot of basic things. I was very lucky having the mother that I had because I said to her once when I was a little kid, I mean, I was like, we just moved to California. I was like 12. And I said, well, I'm going to save myself. I'm going to be a virgin when I get married and save myself for my husband, thinking that that's what you say to your mom so that she'll be relieved and think you're a good girl. And my mom said, any daughter of mine who marries someone they've never had sex with, I'm disowning. That's the stupidest thing you can do. She said it's an important thing to know about a person, just like knowing everything else about them. So her advice and her placing a value on it, I adopted that. And, it plays an important, that doesn't mean you have to always have it. A couple can arrive at a time when they're like, I'm kind of over it. I don't want this anymore. And if they both feel that way, that's totally fine. There's no reason to break up over that. But I think that it's an important part of a relationship.
Yeah, Lila Garrett, her mom, my mother-in-law, was the coolest woman I've ever been around, except her, in my life.
I love that.
I love my mother-in-law.
That's a fantastic segue into our next topic, which is this company you've recently become involved with that makes a product designed to enhance men's sex lives. It's called...
Yeah. This is a great idea. This friend of mine who's an inventor, he comes to me and he says, I have a cure for ED, erectile dysfunction. Cool. Anyway, try this, Eric. I said, I don't have ED. It doesn't matter because all men will have ED sometime or other in their lives. It's going to happen because it's normal, because we have plaque in our bloodstream. It gets in our veins. It clogs stuff up. Blah blah. The same stuff with the heart. The exact same the exact same lack of blood flow because of plaque. It's the same issue in your appendage. And he has an invention that's portable. That's the same thing they used to have in all the well they still have them in all the sex clinics, but it costs a lot of money, like a couple of grand a visit. But this is a portable thing. And you run it up and down your shaft, and it breaks up the plaque, and it gives you better blood flow. Now, I had no issues. I have a sex life that's normal and fine. But then I started using this thing. It got better and finer. So if you have issues or not, I recommend this device, the Phoenix. And it just uses sound waves. You go up and down your shaft, it goes... And it breaks up the plaque, dude, and it works. And because he's my friend, I realize I think my friend has a cure for a real issue for a lot of guys. And you can take the shame out of it if you have somebody without the issue yet to talk about it with his wife. Who knew? So it's like, it's not an embarrassing thing. It's a thing that we can deal with, have fun talking about, understand, but it's also personal and private. You don't.
Yeah, sure. So you answered a lot of my questions up front about it. So you've used it, and would you say it was a good experience, enjoyable experience?
Well, I use it with the wife, so we incorporate it in our situation. It's great, dude.
It's not, first of all, the thing that's great is it's not a drug. So you really get scared about side effects when it comes to drugs. It's great that they created Cialis and Viagra and whatever.
And that stuff works, by the way.
But there is a big downside. This is so innocent. And so harmless. That's the thing that's good. And I hate the word dysfunction. It's too bad that that's in there. It's too bad it's called erectile dysfunction. I mean, it's just a factor of aging or a factor of anxiety of modern life. I mean, life can be, sex is so mental. And so there's interference anyway. And then on top of that, if you see that affect you, it becomes a cycle. So if you at least can take care of the physical, it can free you. And it's very easy. It's like a wand. And you know, the way they suggest using it is for like 15 minutes or something once or twice a week, right? And that will, you know, after 3 weeks or so, you'll see a permanent difference, but you can use it anytime you want. And it's just, it's not scary. It's just simple. And it really, having conversations about it helps. I mean, sometimes just talking about it is, you know, does the trick.
It's a great invention because it's very simple, easy to use. It's also affordable, and it takes the whole thing of going to the clinic, having to deal with other people, blah blah blah. All that's gone now. You're in your own home on your own time, your own way, and that is calming.
Yeah. So, what is the product called?
It's called the Phoenix.
The Phoenix.
The Phoenix, and the website is scorchedbird.com. Scorchedbird is in the Phoenix.
Yeah.
All right, I gotta write that down. Scorchedbird.com.
Scorchedbird.com.
And the byline is Rise Again. So it's all this Phoenix culture. One of the things that was the most telling and really cool, and it's kind of happening in this conversation with you too, when we went on KTLA, which is a local LA station, to talk about it, you know, they really, I mean, you can talk for 1 second. They have little tiny segments. So basically, you know, we're up there, and of course there was a full crew. This is before COVID. There was a full crew there, all the camera guys, a lot of them we've known through the years, you know, just like a lot of people. There were probably 100 people there. A lot of guys, some women too. And, you know, gay, straight, everybody was there. And the newscasters ask us, and then we're done, and it's after 2 seconds, and then it's time to go to commercial. I mean, the second we went to commercial, the entire crew left their cameras, their sound carts, everything. The newscasters left their chairs. Everybody converged on us and went, "You have got to get us one. We have to hear." They're looking on the website right away. I mean, it was hilarious.
We had the device with us, so
oh yeah. But it was so funny. So right there was the proof in the pudding, you know. And there's all ages. You know, people were responding, and so you realize this is a real need. So then we felt really good about it.
Yeah.
It was really funny.
Well, that's great. My brother, who's a surgeon, I told him about this interview, and he wanted me to ask, are there any negative side effects such as prostate problems, extended erections, or like loss of sensation in normal intercourse?
Great questions. Not a one. And I'm 100% positive of this. Not a one.
It's like it's really similar. It's really, really similar to having your teeth cleaned. It's not.
It's a lot of those painful.
I know. Sound. Well, of course, it's true. Sound waves. Like when I was pregnant with Keaton, when I was in Animal House, I was pregnant with Keaton. That was just the beginning of ultrasound. And they were going to do ultrasound just kind of as a routine thing. And I said, what is it? And they said, well, it's kind of like sonic beams, kind of like a submarine puts out. We just put them into the, and I was like, no, are you kidding? Like 5 years from now, you're going to say, uh-oh, you should never have done that. And I never allowed it. And I mean, it's routine now. And we have a grandchild. We love all of the ultrasound pictures and stuff of her. But you know, it sounded really scary. We've learned so much now. This thing is it's effective, you know, because the blood vessels are right there. There's no rupture. There's no nothing. It definitely doesn't cause an erection right then anyway. So there's no sustained erection problem.
It isn't for masturbational use.
Right. So good questions your brother asked. Yeah. That's what we love about it so much is it's effective. And, you know, we're so anti-side effects, and there just doesn't seem to be a downside.
Fantastic. So how much does it work for men of all sizes?
Good question. Yeah, it does.
Wow, that's a question I've never thought.
Yeah, because the way that listen, they could have shaped it anyway. I think the way they shaped it is a little bit silly because it kind of looks like a dildo. You know, It
was a flat top, but
it was developed by
shape was flat top.
I mean, it was developed by guys. You know, everything's going to be
Phallic.
every airplane, every car, you know. So, I mean, it could have looked like the scrub brush. I mean, it could have looked like anything. It could have looked like a teddy bear, you know.
Okay.
But it was the question. I'm like,
You like me now, yeah, thanks.
Is it for men of all sizes?
yeah, absolutely, because it doesn't matter what size you are at all. I mean, you can be this big or that big. You can be this tall, that thin, that fat. It's like an ultrasound wand.
Okay.
Here's the thing about it. It's very simple and it works. It is a cure for ED, and it's not a chemical. It's not invasive. It is the cure, guys. Go get it because it does work.
But all sizes, yes.
Yeah,
to answer your
all
question.
sizes.
Sure.
Okay, wonderful. How much does it cost?
I don't know what he's charging. What's he charging?
I think it's like $600 or $700, which of course sounds like a lot of money, but you're talking about something that there's no further cost.
No.
So it's not as if, I mean, you have it for everything. So it's going to forever. So it's going to amortize really, really well. If you are in a relationship or whatever, or you're planning to be sexual for the next, even if you're planning to be sexual for the next 2 years, it kind of pays for itself because there's nothing else. There's nothing that needs to be replaced or anything. So that's what it costs. Whereas the clinic treatments were several thousand and had to be repeated much more frequently.
Yeah. And would you consider it to be more or less invasive than other forms of ED treatment, such as pills or surgery?
Totally non-invasive.
Nothing goes in anywhere. No. You don't swallow anything. You don't put anything up there. There's no surgery. It's just non-invasive. It's literally, if this is the machine and this is your, thingy, it's just this.
Yeah.
It's just literally that. That's it. So, I mean, it's kind of miraculous that it even works. It's just that it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it, huh?
Yeah.
So is there anything else that our audience should know about the Phoenix?
Just how to get it, scorchbird.com. And the fact that we're talking about it should take the shame out of it, because there is no shame in having plaque in your bloodstream. That's all it is, dude. It affects the heart the same way. And we have heart issues that we aren't embarrassed about. Why be embarrassed about our opinion?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, one other thing that the doctors who've been involved in the development, they are in the process of trying to invent something as non-invasive for other plaque in your system. So that's very interesting. They would like to not have to insert a stent or have you take pills for plaque in other areas. If there was something like this, so they are working on that exact same technology for other parts of your body where it can be life-saving. So that's really good. The fact that it first came out for that particular issue is very cool. And I think that probably if it had come out first for some other kind of plaque, we'd trust it even more. But, who cares? If it's a model for something else like that where it can be non-invasive, that'd be fantastic.
Well said, Mrs. Roberts.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of our technology initially starts with sex. You think about it. Phone screen sizes just got bigger and bigger when we realized we could watch porn.
Right. Well, I mean, Freud would say, I mean, I don't know. Some people say everything's about money. Freud says everything's about sex. So there you go.
There you go. Any other projects you want to promote or have the people here in Phoenix take a look at it?
There's a bunch of stuff that you had to cancel 21 shows for me?
Yeah, there are, but Phoenix. Okay, now are you, is this broadcast just in Phoenix or is it everywhere?
Oh, no, it's everywhere, but primarily our audience is located.
Okay, so my brother, Adam Garrett, lives in Phoenix. You were talking about making cheese.
Yeah.
He's an extraordinary chef.
Yeah.
He's gone vegan. Partly because he had a health issue and it saved his life, and also, but we love animals. But he's amazing. Like, I really want you to connect with him, you and your wife, because there's got to be a Zoom way right now where you can stay safe, where he can give you guys all kinds of fun things to do. He's just incredible.
Yeah.
And he grows his who's owned everything there in Phoenix where it's hot.
He's there.
Yeah.
We were just doing a cameo for someone who's in Arizona about Eric having done Mafia Marriage there. He shot the Bill Bonanno story there. We have our friends Philip and Audrey who live there and are filmmakers. We're there all the time.
Yeah.
So we have to say hey to you next time we're there. But if there's listeners here in Los Angeles, my daughter who lives across the street from Pie Bake Shop, PI Bake Shop, is a full charge chef and caterer and baker, and she's doing food delivery, very, very safe food delivery. So, you know, when we've announced that, she's gotten a lot of very, very happy customers. So we always like to talk about that.
Also,
absolutely.
Pie in Los Angeles, California comes from our daughter's Pie Bake Shop.
Yeah, and we've already talked about Keaton a little, Keaton Simons. So, you know, people are catching up on all kinds of new music, and he has already a ton of fans, but boy, he has a ton more since this pandemic because of people just discovering him. He was on tour with Brett Young. They were in Europe, sent home.
Sold out stadiums. They sent them home.
Yep. Halfway through the tour, they were on the last plane that was allowed to come here. It was crazy.
Wow.
So yeah, you know, just the family, and also our parental website, naturalchild.org, naturalchild.org for anybody who has a child of any age. Every question you might need answered is right there.
Naturalchild.org.
Yeah, we're huge advocates of that. So we like to say that whenever we can.
That's wonderful. Thank you. I don't know if you see the pictures behind me, but I have quite a few kids myself.
Yeah, I thought so. How many kids do you have?
Brace yourselves. I have 7 kids.
Oh my God.
Wow.
all with the same wife and mom?
All the same wife and mom.
That
She still looks like she's 22.
You look like you're 21 years old.
Yeah, you look young, dude.
Yeah, I'm 37. My oldest is 13. My youngest is 2. My wife still looks like she's 22, and boy, does she use that against me.
That's so okay. Well, you guys have to look at Natural Child. Seriously,
Yeah. She's gonna love it.
I appreciate the heads up. Thank you.
The kids will love it too. They can find stuff there also. Your 13-year-old certainly can. Oh my! Congratulations! Wow, what a
No, my wife deserves all the credit. She's the impetus behind that. She does a great job raising them.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Okay. Well, it's so much fun talking to you.
Yeah, you too. Thank you so much, Eric and Eliza, for coming on the show. We look forward to your many projects, your many roles upcoming. And also, the Phoenix sounds like a fantastic product. And the folks in Phoenix are going to be looking for the Phoenix. For more Couch Crunchers content, please visit our website, couchcrunchers.com. Join us live for our weekly podcast, Saturday nights at 7 p.m. Arizona time. You can also like, follow, subscribe Couch Crunchers on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. And until next time, keep on geeking on.
Grade A buffoonery.